Hi everyone, Mr. Lee here. Today I would like to talk about the British education system and in particular how it differs from the Hong Kong education system. I went to primary school in the UK from 1978 until 1984 and I also attended secondary school from 1984 until 1991. Recently I have been speaking to both primary and secondary school students in Hong Kong and therefore I can tell you the differences between the two systems. In general, I think that the Hong Kong education system is geared towards academic achievement. I think that British education can be divided into three broad categories. Number one, academic subjects. These include maths, English, geography, science, etc. Number two, non-academic subjects, including physical education, music, arts, livelihood education, etc. And finally, interpersonal relationships, how to get on with other people, how to respect other people's opinions. UK schools teach all three categories, whereas Hong Kong schools focus primarily on academic achievement. Let me give you an insight into my primary school life in order to elaborate. So when I was in primary school, we did swimming, knitting, drawing, and painting. And during Christmas, we also did some cooking. Sometimes the teacher would choose a student and he or she would talk about his or her favorite toy in front of the whole class. So this trains the speaker to be more confident at doing public speaking. But at the same time, the other pupils learn to listen to another person speaking. In primary school, the teacher often took us out to the playing field to look at some nature. We also drew pictures of trees and leaves. Almost every day we would play ball games in the playing field. When we were indoors, we played with plasticine. I think this is a great activity for young children because they learn how to be more creative with their hands. Since the UK is a multi-ethnic society, we also learnt how to get on well with people of all ethnicities from an early age. Now I spoke to primary school students from Hong Kong and they told me that they don't go swimming in primary school and they don't play with plasticine in primary school. They also don't do any talks in front of the class and therefore they don't have the confidence to deal with strangers. This explains why Hong Kong people tend to be shy and conservative. In the first 2 years of secondary school, both boys and girls did metalwork and woodwork, so we learnt how to make things with our hands. This is something that's unheard of in Hong Kong secondary schools. Also, in UK secondary schools, they place a strong emphasis on sports. Both boys and girls did gymnastics, cross-country and track and field, including the javelin and shot put. Boys did rugby and football, whereas girls did hockey. Now I recently asked a Hong Kong secondary school student about physical education in his school, and he told me that they only have 1.5 hours of PE per week, and the number of sports is quite limited. In the UK, the teachers never tell you that you must excel in academic subjects because schools value strong athletes. If you're not a bright person but you're good at sports, that's perfectly fine. We go to school to learn things and not to outdo other classmates. That's something that Hong Kong parents need to be aware of. I thoroughly enjoyed school in the UK because there wasn't any stress. When I was at school in the UK, I was living with my parents during the whole time. However, I personally don't like the idea of sending your children overseas to a boarding school because they don't have any parental care. Even though education is important, I think it should not override family cohesion. However, you could settle in the UK as a family unit so that the family is not separated. There is one caveat that parents should be aware of. In recent years, UK secondary schools have allowed children to take their GCSEs earlier. What that means is this. Suppose a child obtains a grade which is below expectations, then he or she can retake the exam. And it means that schools brag about the number of A grades which their pupils have obtained. And parents also use these grades in order to determine which school to send their children to. I personally believe that Hong Kong parents focus too much on academic achievement, which is a shame because UK schools teach pupils a variety of skills which they need throughout their lives. I also believe that scoring high exam grades is not the main purpose of education. Now, if you look at Hong Kong society today, most Hong Kong people are skilled workers. However, they lack communication skills. If you focus solely on academic grades, then I believe it doesn't matter where you study, whether it be Hong Kong, the UK, Russia, or Thailand. Now, to prove this point, I have a mathematics question for you. Here it is. I believe that most 17-year-olds, no matter where they're living, would have difficulty in answering this maths question. The point I'm trying to get across is this. If you only care about academic subjects, it really doesn't matter where you study. With the advent of internet technology, it's now possible to learn any subject online for free. I think it's truly a game changer. I left the UK 20 years ago, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't send my children to the UK for an education. Don't get me wrong, I truly enjoyed school life in the UK, but I think that times have changed. Let me give an example. In the 90s, I went to both Japan and Thailand. Back then, their level of English was truly atrocious. But you fast forward to 2021, I think their level of English has improved drastically. So I think that these days it's possible to learn English even if you don't live in an English-speaking country. So I think maybe Hong Kong parents may want to consider sending their children to study in an Asian country. Because if you study in an Asian country, it has another advantage because it's geographically nearer to Hong Kong. To sum it all up, British education teaches children a wide variety of skills, including academic subjects, non-academic subjects, and interpersonal skills. In a highly competitive society such as Hong Kong, most parents focus primarily on academic achievement. Having been through the British education system, I believe that happiness and interpersonal skills matter. So in recent years, we've had improvements in internet technology and we can learn any subject online for free. It also means that we can learn English even if we don't live in an English-speaking country. And therefore, I personally believe that you don't need to go to an English-speaking country in order to learn English. And I said earlier on that if you focus primarily on academic subjects, then I think it's the same anywhere in the world. In addition, I think that in Hong Kong, the schools don't focus on interpersonal skills. However, in the rest of Asia, they do focus on interpersonal skills. Therefore, I think that there are many close alternatives in the rest of Asia. Thank you for your time. If you have any comments, please leave them below.